I'm excited to introduce my new friend, Julie Birmingham, who I met last summer at an energy healing conference. And I have to tell you, my initial experience with her is that she had just this grounded confidence and just a true, like, open energy field. And she just like walked right up to me and said, "Would you like to sit down and just do a little mini session?" And I'm like, okay. And I've been working with her ever since. So she is, I think, highly tuned into body language, to working with that holistic model, and definitely working with the nervous system. So I'm still like a work in progress, and she is getting me in my body and using tools from that somatic level more. So here's her story. And what she shares is that in 2016, she hit rock bottom. She was stuck, shut down, unsure of who she was or what she wanted. But at that moment, it marked a profound turning point in her life. Through challenges, risks, and personal growth, she rediscovered herself and began to build a life she loves. Since then, she's earned a second degree in music education, released original music, and launched a blog along with her social media platforms. She's embraced meditation, fitness, taught music, and forged deep, meaningful connections with her family, friends, and students. Her journey's brought her peace, joy, and empowerment, not just as a woman, but a wife, mother, and teacher. So what her training is in is through, and I'll let her share that, but it's through the Big Leap Hendricks coaching, I believe. So there's some really powerful tools in that it's not something I was familiar with. So I would say, I guess, Julie, would you kind of summarize yourself as more like a life coach at this point?
Yeah, definitely.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Awesome. Yay. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm so grateful for everyone on this call. This is awesome. I love interaction and I love participation. If that is your vibe, especially on Zoom, I know that some of you are just listening and just kind of in the background. This is your thing. But if you would like to be fully present, I would just really enjoy you having your camera on so that we can all kind of come together, because this is something that we want to use our whole body and kind of interact and have energy exchange between each other. And that would really help this presentation to go well for me and for you to get the most out of this, is if you could have your camera on, that we could kind of see each other and interact. So I want this to be a way that we can just, I'd like to ask questions from you and that we can learn together at the same time. So hooray. So my training over the past year and even before that, I had a lot of personal growth with a life coach locally. And then I got some training over the past year through Gay and Katie Hendricks, which they're sort of one of the founders of life coaching. And they worked with Louise Hay and a lot of different projects over the years. Gay and Katie have written over 35 books and have just really helped support the self-development world. And so I have really enjoyed being a part of this experience with them. And so I want to share what I've been learning from them that has really helped me to understand myself and understand the world at the same time. So I'm going to share my screen. So let's see. All right. So I'm assuming that let's see, I'm going to play from the start. And okay, so are we good? All right. So we are going to be playing with fear. And really and I'm so glad that Christine talked about fear, because it just is a perfect segue into what we're going to be talking about. And the thing about fear is you cannot tell somebody, well, you just don't need to be afraid. Like, there's nothing to be afraid of. And our whole, evolution is, well, we're running away from saber-toothed tigers, and there's a lot of Are we going to be eating tomorrow? Is there starvation or what? Like, there's a lot to be afraid of in the world. That's kind of how we've evolved. But now that we have some stability, we still have that adrenaline fueled fear that's a part of us. And so I want to be talking about ways to get out of that. So the first thing that I want to talk about is exogenous world. So that's the world that we kind of live in day out. If we watch the news, that's exogenous world to a T. We're reacting. We are affected by the world around us. We're kind of like things are coming at us instead of us going and being the source. We're kind of reacting to everything. So there's a lot of complaints. We want to either control, or we're controlled by shame or by fear, and we have to kind of consume, or we feel like a victim. We want to react to things, and this is exogenous world is fueled by adrenaline. Adrenaline is the source, and so it's all about performing in a certain way. And there's someone that came up with the rules. I don't know who that is, but we're supposed to perform according to their rules. And if we don't, then something bad's going to happen, kind of thing. So we want to get out of this adrenaline fueled world that we live in. So there's two different worlds, exogenous world, and then the next one is endogenous world. This is where we want to live. This is in the present moment. This is where joy and pleasure live. This is where we want to be responsible for our own well-being, that we generate, that we're creating, that we're our own hotspot, that we are responsible for us and how we feel, and that we support ourselves, and then we can respond to the rest of the world. So we're living in a world that's free from fear. We kind of detach from it. We have more choice. We live in the present moment. And so endogenous world lives in the creativity is the fuel. Instead of adrenaline, we want to live in creativity. Okay. So we want to use our body to be the support for our fear, because we all feel it, and we might not even realize how much we're feeling it, but we are in it all the time. So being aware of our body, being aware of our feelings is really important. So bringing them closer, loving them, instead of pushing them away or resisting, we actually kind of make them our friends, kind of make them a part of us, and more love them instead of hating them all the time, right? So we allow ourselves to play with how we feel. So there's 4 types of fear. There's fight, where you want to kind of put up our fists, and we want to come forward, or we get tight in our hands and in our shoulders, and we kind of are kind of going forward for things. And that is, or we're like, I don't like that kind of thing. So that's fight. Then flight is where we're kind of, and if I stand up, I'll show you, but flight is kind of like, or when someone's eyebrows go, what? That's kind of a flight move. And so that's, or you're like fleeing mentally, maybe, where you're not quite in the present moment. You're like, well, I'm kind of done with this conversation, and we're off somewhere else, right? We've all seen this. Or so that's number 2 is flight. Then number 3 is freeze. When we feel tight, we feel stiff, when we just want things to be over, or we're just on the hamster wheel and we keep replaying things over and over again, but we're not taking action, right? And then faint, the 4th one, is when we feel overwhelmed, when we kind of have a foggy brain, or we kind of feel stupid, or things feel adrift, or we might feel sleepy or tired or overwhelmed. Those are all faint moves. Okay, so understanding that. All right, so the antidote to fear. This is what, okay, so this is Katie Hendricks talking, which I think is really cool.
How did we get so scared? What happened to us that our default setting is now fear? How did we start looking through fear glasses without even noticing we were wearing them? We receive thousands of messages that we should be afraid in movies, TV series, social media, and video games, and the news. Stories are deliberately edited to elicit extreme sensations, more fear. Those messages continue escalating and broadcasting that life is not safe. You are not safe. The problem with fear is that it keeps us from feeling joy. It takes away our creativity, our intuition. It steals our ability to reach out and love. It removes our ability to feel whole. When we get scared, we disconnect from others. Others become the enemy. So we start treating other people as objects and less than human because we don't sense a heart connection when we feel fear. Over time, fear joins with contempt to justify violence. Us versus them. Let's go meet the 4 expressions of fear. The fight-fear reaction often gets mistaken for anger. Imagine making fists, jutting your chin out and barking, oh yeah, as you thrust your body forward like a boxer. Flee fear looks and feels as if some of your awareness stays put in your body and some of you starts to leave. Imagine a shoulder moving away, or your head backing up, or your foot edging toward the door. Fear freeze may be the easiest to recognize. Just tighten your whole body while holding your breath. In faint fear, imagine your life energy draining out of your body through your feet, puddling beneath you, or feel a moment of going foggy or confused. Fear fighters can ooze like hot fudge melting over ice cream, turning fight into forging new paths. Fear fleers can root, getting down into their legs and connecting through their feet to the earth, turning flee into readiness. Fear freezers can begin wiggling fingers and toes to thaw out and can wiggle more and more into being fully here, present, and able to respond. Fear fainters can reach out and scoop love to nourish and connect with your inner landscape and to the outer world of new collaborators. Fear melters are your secret support system. They give you your power back. They give you a chance to pause and make a different choice. They can shift your energy, your creativity, your ability to connect to others right now. You can return to an experience of flow and go on with your day. You can use oozing, rooting, wiggling, and love scooping one at a time, or you can combine them as you wish. You can express with big movements or tiny ones. You can even picture them in your imagination if you're sitting in a meeting and you get triggered. What happens when we move from fear to flow? We're able to see others as they are and not as we fear they are. Others can become partners and potential friends. We give people the benefit of the doubt, and that opens all kinds of doors. Most importantly, we experience peace of mind. We become directors of our own movies, and we get to choose the movie's next scene. We become free to be in this moment, connected, present, and from there to co-create a new future for ourselves and for our global community.
So
Sharing that. That's the piece I needed to put it all together. Thank you.
yeah, it is really powerful to be able to do that. There we are.
Julie, what was that video called again? The YouTube video?
And
Thank you.
it's called Befriending Fear. And if you look at Befriending Fear, Fear Melters, you'll find it. But it is so powerful to be able to have an antidote to fear that you bring it closer and you use your body to move through it. So you're not stuck in the future or the past. You actually bring yourself into the present moment. So I'm so happy to see so many of you on camera. Let us practice some of these fear melters and see how it feels in your body. You ready? So let's stand up and we can practice some of these fears. So the first one, fight. You want to ooze your body. So it's like ice cream. And you can do it big, you can do it little, but it's almost like honey, like you're just slowing everything down. When you want to fight, when you want to go for it, you're actually, oh, okay, I'm gonna slow things down. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I'm loving seeing this oozing that you guys are doing and see how that feels in your body when you ooze just even a little bit. I like to ooze big. I like to reach. I think that feels good to me. So whatever feels really juicy to you, bring it closer so you can kind of play with it. But also when you're maybe in public and you're like, I don't really want to like ooze in public, I can just do a little oozing right here and nothing really is going to bring a lot of attention to me, right? So you can do it big or little, but the intention behind it is what is important, right? And really feeling that oozing in your body. I'm really enjoying this. Okay, so we have fight. Next is flight. When we want to run away, when we want to flee the situation, when we're kind of like shut down, and it's like, no, I am gone. Then we want to actually root down. So think about roots going into the ground from your feet and even from your hands. You can root in through your hands into the floor. You can even open your body a little bit and receive from the earth. You can receive some nourishment, some support from the earth and really stay. So we're staying here instead of running away. I want to bring myself back and stay. This is where in a lot of relationships, we want to run away or flee from conflict. And that's fine for a time, but come back and root down and stay so that you can face things that may be a little scary that we're used to. So we're doing the opposite. We're rooting down. We can feel the nourishment from the earth, the support that we need in this moment. Okay. All right. So fight, flight, then freeze. Okay. When we feel frozen, we know that the hamster wheel's going and we're not making any action. We're going to wiggle our body. Okay. We're wiggling everything. Wiggle our face, wiggle our torso, our buttocks, our legs, our feet, just everything is gonna wiggle, okay? Now I find myself being stuck in fear and frozen a lot. So wiggling, actually, when I first started doing this daily, wiggling felt really uncomfortable. I was like, I'm done wiggling. I was like, no, I got to wiggle a little longer. And it helped me to move through my fear and to reconnect with it. And this is something that I do with my students as well, is we wiggle our faces, and we wiggle our cheeks, and we wiggle our shoulders. And
you're a music teacher, is that right?
I'm a music teacher, yeah. And so my kids at school, I'll have them wiggle their hands, wiggle their shoulders, wiggle their cheeks, and it's fun. It's fun to wiggle your cheeks.
I'm watching Haley and she's got a little person. And so she's actually doing this in real time at home.
So fun.
Imagine doing this with your kids, right?
Exactly. So kids love this and they really receive it. I love seeing how much they enjoy wiggling their bodies and moving through things. All right, so we have fight, flight, freeze, and then faint. Okay, when you feel, and I feel like the entire world could use this because majority of us are in faint. If it's about the election or other things, I don't know. Like there's a lot of faint going on, right? So you're going to pretend that there's this bowl of love in front of you, and you're going to scoop it onto your body. And what I love about love scoops is you can scoop it onto wherever you need it. Okay? So if it's on your shoulders, or if it's on your head, or if it's on your back, maybe it's on your lower back, or it's on your stomach. A lot of a solar plexus area needs a lot of love, right? So we're just giving ourselves love in the moment. I love seeing this love scooping that you guys are doing. Well done. I hope you can feel love. You might not feel it right away, but the intention behind it is what is important. Okay. You just put it wherever you want it. Sometimes I like to pat my cheeks because I feel like that feels good to kind of like, oh, give myself some love. Right. So all of this, and my kids are like, this is weird. I'm like, I know, but just try it because it can support you. And, you can try this in the shower to really like use water or a bath, right? Whenever you do that, you can love scoop with water if that energetically helps you to kind of like get this idea better that you're giving yourself love. Okay.
So we had a comment that someone didn't know that faint was a thing. So that's not one I've heard a lot of either. But I think my sense as in my mental health field is it's also maybe called dissociation, like a sense of like, I'm just checking out, like I'm leaving my body now.
Yeah.
And so I think the love is where we could come back to that. So I think that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And with love scoops, you can like put your hand to the side of you and just kind of like put your hand in some love, right? So that it's not big and it's not like, what are you doing? Like, it's just like, I'm supporting myself in the moment when I feel scared. Now I do this when I'm at networking events. Okay. Like, so I can support myself. So it's going to be fine. Like,
I have to share some feedback, Julie. I don't know where your screen's at, but I was noticing some yawns. And I don't know if you teach this, but when you correct that adrenaline rush, right, or excess, you'll get back in your parasympathetic nervous system, and yawning is very common. So if you notice that, that's a good
yawning
thing.
is the release kind of a thing. Yeah, exactly. So, yes, all of those things. So love scoops. Now, I would like to ask you if anyone has any questions about that or where they feel stuck in fear, like which fear am I feeling? I'm happy to answer any questions if you just want to raise your hand. If anyone wants to.
We had one request for that endogenous world slide one more time while people are getting courageous.
At that.
I also noticed Dawn was the one person that said freeze before you even talked about that. So I don't know, Dawn, if you want to respond to, was that tool helpful with the freeze response? Did you notice?
Oh yeah, I thought that was very helpful for anybody with fear. But yeah, my tendency is to freeze. And so now that I know that I can just kind of like shake my hands out in my lap if I need to, if it's small, or if I'm on my own, I can move like that. That was very helpful.
Awesome. So here's the endogenous world. So we have resources, we have joy, we have spontaneity, pleasure, we have creativity, we have choices, which I love. And also there's a lot of times we want other people to support us in what we need. And if we can be our own source of love, that becomes a lot more easeful in our relationships because we can give ourselves that what we're looking for, and it is our responsibility anyway, and it makes it so that we can kind of unhook from expecting others to be there for us as much as we need them, maybe, but to give that to ourselves is actually probably what we're seeking anyway. So just a thought there. So did you get what you needed there?
Oh, and then exogenous. There was a request for that one too.
Exogenous. Okay. Exogenous is basically if you think of Pink Floyd and The Wall. I haven't actually watched that show, but it looks very intense. That's exogenous world. Okay. To like, you're reacting to things happening to you. You're not actually making choices for yourself. You're just, kind of like, oh, this happened and everything is like coming at you kind of a thing. And so we want to be able to get out of this hamster wheel of adrenaline and choose something different. Okay.
I love that you mentioned contracting in the exogenous world. That, and when I mentioned in my presentation earlier about Barbara DeAngelis, she has a book about the heart, basically love, and choosing love. I think The Choice for Love is the name of it. And she talks about contraction is like a wall. We put up a wall and we just kind of like close in, and that can look like freeze or it can look like defensiveness or whatever. But these tools you just showed us are truly like expressions, I guess you could say, of open movement rather than contraction. They're expansion tools. So that would be the opposite.
Yes, exactly. But then you're not reacting to past or future. You're actually in the present moment where you have choices to decide how you want to respond. So, what types of fear do you feel in your body? So, we were going to talk about that. And where do you feel them? And what's your typical fear response? I'm curious. So you can either put it in the chat or you can just unmute and we can talk about it. What are your typical fears? Mine, let's see, what is mine? It depends on the day. Right now, I'm afraid of getting our stuff done in our house. So there's a lot of I don't know, fear of like not doing enough probably. So what would that be? I want to say flee probably is so grounding down and kind of calming my body would be one. Fear of risking loss. Together so you can root down and then give yourself a lot of love scoops at the same time. You can combine them together. I think wiggles are hard to combine, but the other ones you did, so you ground down and stay and give yourself some extra love. Abandonment, scarcity, death, suffering, failure, unworthiness. I would say lots of love scoops for all of those. Oh yeah. And thank you for sharing that. My heart goes out to you. Because it's all there, right?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I know like love scoops, like you don't have to think anything. Do you recommend or not recommend like an affirmation with the love scoops?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe not overcomplicate it if you can't think of one, just using your body to support you in moving through and bringing yourself into the present is the main idea.
And that's what you've taught me that's so different than what I know. Thank you.
Yeah. If you have a mantra that you like to say to yourself while you're doing love scoops, go for it. to support yourself, because we're all vibration. We all want to raise our vibration in the best way possible. And so not feeling safe in the world, you can bring that closer and befriend it. Okay. So that you can feel more support, and maybe even reach out to others that can support you in that. Contracting, putting up a wall. Okay, so that sounds like a flight thing. So rooting and slowing down and feeling the support of the earth could really help you and support you in your journey. Okay. And when I say that, I feel a relaxing in my face and in my shoulders, like, oh yeah, I'm supported. Even the earth is not going to just come out from under me. I know that I can have, some support from my chair and from the floor, and that it's just I'm okay, right? I'm okay. And reminding myself of that. Okay. And just calming my body. So this is one thing that I wanted to share too, is just a bonus, is unhooking the source. So sometimes there's things in our life that keep us going in a cycle. And if we can unhook, if it's some individual that's kind of coming at us all the time, or there's, I have a son-in-law, whatever that means to you. Sometimes. So, and so that is them. This is me. And kind of unhooking from that. Or if it's a past event, that was then, but this is now. And so standing up and kind of playing with that, we can play with that a little bit, but unhooking the source is something Katie uses all the time. And so that was then, this is now. Now I'll use my mom as an example of like, oh, this was really powerful when I did this. It's like, that's her, that's my mom, and this is me. This is me. And that was really powerful to understand. That's her stuff, and this is me. And unhooking from the stories that we have, that was the past. And this is the new story I have, and stepping into that. Okay. So try that on to see how that feels. But that would be a great support. And then the last thing I want to share is I offer one-on-one coaching sessions to just do more with me. It's a 45-minute session. It is a $150 value to just try out more.
That's such a gift.
I just think it's such a powerful thing to do fear melters, to have support in moving through fear. And just like you talked about, Christine, it's so important to bring it closer in so that we can have some choices in our life, that we don't have to stay stuck, right? So that's the bottom line. So thank you so much for letting me be here. This has been an amazing experience, and I'm just grateful to all of you for showing up and being a part of this. And thank you for participating. This has been so great. So I've loved having all of you come and join me today. Thank you so much.
So grateful. Yes, it's so good. I'm glad I found you, and that I've been using these tools, and it was fun to segue with what I knew you were going to talk about, and talk about the adrenals. And so it all connected, which is great.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Christine, so much.
Thank you. So we did have some questions before about the frequency formulas. I didn't give them much time. There's a little 3-minute, 5-minute video coming up in between our breaks. We have a 10-minute break coming, and you can stay or hang, at least have your audio or something available so you can check that out. But I'm going to walk you through really quick, kind of like if you're interested in that, what it looks like to kind of explore it. If you hop on my website, you'll see towards the bottom, the frequency formulas are there. They take you to 2 different options. And so I have 2 things. You're going to watch the video about the mental health mood kit and learn more about that, where it does include the adrenal strengthening formula. but I've pulled that kit out of the full formula line, which is 16 formulas. And so if you want to check that out, you'll click on that, or it's frequencyformulas.com. This site is not as updated, but on additional information, I'm going to have Joanne help me figure out what the video is. It's not pulling. And then there's some package options. There's a form, and this is like, you can just do this if you want to. And I put the link in there. I'll put it in again, but you just basically look through the different things that each of these 16 formulas do and get an idea of like where you might benefit from a package. So that's the walkthrough. Okay. So you've got like already in less than 2 hours, so many different options and resources. And so start making a note of like which ones you want to check out more. Okay, let's take a break. You're going to get a little video in the interim, and we'll see you back in 10 minutes. I'm Christine Hull, and I'm the developer of this kit. I'm excited to tell you more about it. This is based off of my book, 10 Ways to Balance Your Brain Chemistry, which is going into its 4th edition in 2024. So in here, you'll find 4 different formulas. These are quantum medicine formulas for the quantum body. They're based on epigenetic repatterning. So it's not like taking something like a pill or an antidepressant and having it just work on the body level. These work all the way from top down: quantum body, mental body, energy body or vital body, and then physical body. And I'll explain that more in my masterclass and how that works. So the 4 formulas are serotonin enhancement, adrenal strengthening, dopamine balance, and endorphin boosting. In the 10 ways to balance your brain chemistry, the first thing we do is assess what brain chemistry levels are in balance for you and which ones are out of balance. So what's fun about these is, for example, with the serotonin, it doesn't just increase serotonin. I actually had a client who took this and discovered that she was on too many serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Her doctor had her on like 3 antidepressants at once. This allowed her to detoxify from what could have become serotonin poisoning and get a completely different category of medication. It also supports people who are not absorbing or utilizing serotonin well. It also supports people who need something to go along with the serotonin, like vitamin D, or another brain chemical like endorphins. So sometimes people are not low in serotonin, but endorphins. I tell a story about the different types of depression. One type of depression responds well to serotonin or SSRIs. Another type does not respond well. They call it treatment-resistant depression. But that type of depression may respond to endorphins. I'm going to explain that more in the class, as well as what you should know about the adrenals when it comes to mood and balance, why we need certain energy levels to be up at some times and down at others so we can sleep, and how the adrenals are part of that. And we'll talk about dopamine. Dopamine's a tricky one because it's addictive, right? People get hooked on things that increase your dopamine. The ideal is to have balance when it comes to dopamine and to have it available when we especially need to feel good, to experience a reward, or to have enough motivation to move us, and how we need to be able to also detach from dopamine at times so we don't become addicted. And there's a couple ways that you can join the masterclass. You can get just the information for the minimal price. You can also get this kit that you see here, including the book, one of each formula and the book, and that price is listed as well. And the third option is you can combine the kit with some other bonuses and apply it as a deposit towards your enrollment in the Love Solve Academy. I would love to see you take that option. If you'd like more information about that, let us know.